My name's Clay Crocker. I'm with well, I work out at Northeast Georgia CrossFit. I'm gonna start doing some videos because I don't eat good. A lot of y'all, those of you know me, know I like to work out hard, but I don't put any of that into eating right. So I'm gonna do some videos, maybe one a week or when I have time. Give you guys some ideas on what to cook and how to eat healthy, and maybe it'll keep me on task too. What we're doing today is I'm not spending a lot of time on the meat because we have a bunch of smoked chicken from a party last night. I think we had like 20 chickens left over. But this is pretty easy. It's smoked chicken, or you can get a rotisserie from Kroger, or pretty much all the grocery stores sell them. But what we're going to do is it's summertime, and hopefully we've all got access to lots of vegetables. I do a big garden every year, so we're set. I got squash coming out of the woodworks. I got plenty of tomatoes, zucchinis, onions, and okra, and I'm just going to do a couple of sides that sort of fit with the paleo zone thing and do my best to keep up with the blocks. So here it goes. I guess the first thing we'll work on is okra. Everybody loves fried okra, and I do too. But you can actually roast it with salt and pepper, and it's pretty good. It's not as bad as it sounds, and it's a lot healthier. So really all we do there is start off with whole okra. We don't cut it up, and we're just going to dump all the whole okra into a bowl. All we do is take a little bit of olive oil. I'm not measuring, but enough to get it coated where our spices will stick. Any spice will work good. I'm going to use a little salt. That might be a no-no, but sue me. You can use Mrs. Dash. It's a pretty good kind of paleo-friendly spice. It's no salt. A little salt and pepper to taste. And that's ready to go in the oven. Just kind of lay them out flat. No magic. For each oven, cook them. If you want them a little bit more tender, do them at 375. I like mine a little bit more on the crispy side, so I'm going 400 and probably about 30 minutes, and they'll be ready to go. All right, the next thing we'll work on, I have no idea if it's going to be good, but it's something I've eaten on bread before, and since I can't have bread, I've got to find something else. It's a tomato mixed with feta cheese and basil. It was a spread that you would like put on the little French bread slices, but I'm going to try to slice some zucchini and kind of scoop them out and just sort of make zucchini boats loaded down with this stuff, and I don't know, we'll see. It's got to be better than the bread. So we'll start off with some zucchini that's already, of course, been washed. Just get in here with a spoon, give the filling somewhere to sit.
So.
All right, I got all my zucchini boats all hollowed out, and then next all we're going to do is just chop some tomatoes up. Oops.
Tell them what you're doing now. I got it back on.
Getting the tomato in the bowl here. Got some fresh basil. We're just going to chop that up pretty fine. I'm not measuring any of this, by the way, but it looks good. So now I don't know if this is paleo zone, but I'm going to use it anyway. Some good feta cheese. It's not going to be a lot of it, so you know I think any of the crumble cheese is a lot better than the cheddars. It's a lot less fat, a lot less calories, but so I'm just going to dump all that in there, and a little bit more.
You might recap.
Do what?
You might recap what's in there.
So we got the fresh tomatoes, the basil, and the feta cheese, and a little bit of olive oil. We're just going to let that sit and kind of work on some flavors for a little while. That will eventually go in on top of our zucchini boats when they come out of the oven. All right, next thing is some good old stewed summer squash. And I don't know how y'all's moms made it, but I like mine cooked down. And it takes a lot of squash. These kind of look rough. I'll cut the nasty bits off, but sometimes these garden vegetables kind of aren't as good for show as the ones that come out of the store, but they do taste better. So. And all we do with these is we're going to end up cutting these and you're just chunking them up. Now it takes this a pretty good while to cook. I don't plan on having this ready in 15 minutes.
About how long?
30, 35, 40 minutes maybe. And you don't have to, I just like mine kind of cooked down a little bit more on the mushy side. Some people like their squash with still a bunch of body and texture, but I just sort of like mine cooked, stewed way down. You can eat it raw, so it really doesn't matter. It's just a personal preference. But rather than let y'all watch me cut all this up, we just want to end up in pieces somewhere about like that. Maybe like a 1/2-inch dice. And we're going to do the whole bit of squash. The other main ingredient of the stewed squash is the onion. And I love onions, so I've got a bunch. I don't know how much y'all like. And all we'll do is the onion that's just a real fine dice, a lot finer than we got for the squash. Time we got on it, pretty good. Not going to track the protein today, but I'll try to track my fat and carbs. So the first thing we've got is I've got roughly a little bit more than 4 cups of the squash here. We measure going forward, going in. It's a 1.25 cups is a block, so I'm going to say we got 3.5 blocks of carbs maybe. So I'm going to go ahead and write 3.5 blocks in the squash. Alright, let's cook this stuff. We're just going to start with a pan on top of the stove here. A little bit of oil, just a little bit, just enough to coat the bottom of the pan. It's easy to get this stuff way too oily. We're going to add a little butter towards the end of it to give it some flavor. I'm going to start with that. Most important thing with the stewed squash is do not cook it fast. If it sticks and burns, it's done. It will not taste right, and I've done it plenty of times. It's no good. So we're going to stay medium-low heat on this stuff, and it takes a lot of squash. This stuff cooks down really fast. It's got so much water in it. But that's all, a little bit of oil, and we're going to start with the squash, then we're going to add our onions now. Let me see roughly how many onions I want to put in this stuff. How many onions we got? 1/2 cup, so I got a cup of onions. So that's 2 more blocks of carbs. And we'll go ahead and dump it in there. We're just going to let that do its thing for a long time. Just remember, we want to stir it pretty frequently. Keep an eye on it. Like I say, you don't want it to stick at all. It won't stick as long as you keep the heat low and just kind of keep it stirred around a little bit. I just took the okra out. I'm just going to turn a little bit so it doesn't get all too brown on one side. The pan will brown a little bit. I like mine a little crispy. I like mine more done than slimy, so just keep an eye on it. It's kind of hard to mess up. Good. Alright, my daughter wanted to film, so besides my pull-ups, my other talent is juggling. I juggle peppers. Pretty good at it. I can't do 4. Oh.
Talent. What's your timer for, Daddy?
That is the okra. That ought to be.
And how long did you put it on for?
30, but I didn't really think it was quite done enough, so I had another 5. But I think we'll do it. And, that's what we got.
Yeah, be still.
And it will it'll crisp up a little bit as it kind of sits and cools down a little bit. We're gonna leave that oven on for the chicken and the zucchini. Since we got a big old whole chicken here, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this joker in. Alright, now we're starting to... I'm ready to add my butter to my squash. It really doesn't matter how much I add. Of course, the more the better. The butter is so delicious. But if I add 2 tablespoons of butter, which that's what I've decided to do, I'm going to have 6 blocks of carbohydrates. 6 blocks of fat in my stewed squash, which I have roughly about the same amount of carbs, so that's going to work out good. It's going to be more than 2 servings, probably maybe 3, but we can see what we got when we're done and just divide it out. So we'll look and see how the quantity of our cooked stuff relative to the quantity of everything we had going in, and we'll be able to say if we do a third of it, it'll be this many blocks. So we'll deal with that when we're done. Getting ready to wrap things up now. Last thing I need to do is I want to cook these a little bit. Unlike my summer squash, I don't need them mushy. I still want a little crunch. So I'm just going to put these face down next to my chicken here. Let them cook, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. How can I check on them and see what we look like? Alright, we got our zucchinis done. I'll put them in for maybe 10 minutes. Probably. So we don't want them really limp. We just want them softened a little bit. So let's do this. So we know measuring going, when we started, this 2 cups of squash has 6 blocks of fat and 6 blocks of carbs. So we're just going to do a half a cup for each of us. Should be plenty. And so we got 1.5 blocks with our squash. Our zucchini is going to be probably about 3/4 of a block. I'm trying to stay as precise as I can with it. Sometimes it's not possible to get that precise, but I figure if I'm just eating vegetables, it's not that big of a deal. Right. We've got at least, let's see, the okra 3/4. We got at least a cup and a half of okra we started with. I know we haven't much in a little bit, so if we just half this okra between the 2 of us, that will be another block. Tomato, I don't know what you call it, we started out with. We're just going to take that and put that right on top of this zucchini with the feta basil.
I'm sorry, Mommy. Mommy.
Alright, so that's our meal. So okay, on my portion here, we've got roughly about 3 1/4 carbs between the zucchini, the okra, and the squash. The fat we've probably got around 2. I'm probably carb short, but what I'll end up doing is just substituting a couple fat grams for 1 carb. I'm trying to kind of stay off the carbs as much as possible anyway. When I'm done, I might just grab a handful of almonds or eat me some almond butter just to get some quick good fat in. Protein's fine, so we should be good. I did want to just try the zucchini for you guys, waste your time making something that might not be good. So it's pretty good. It's not KFC, but it's pretty good about eating zucchini. That's it. I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll do another one sometime soon. Thanks.